In this clip, I'm going to explain you a little bit more about the research design tool Locality Mapping, and you will also see an interesting example of a project who used this tool. The purpose of locality mapping is to collect information about a city. This can be in relation to sanitation and water-related problems, but also in relation to people's experience of the city's nightlife, attractions, tourists, and much more. By asking locals who know the city well about their experiences with certain places in the city and asking them to mark those places on the map, the researcher receives an insight into stories or experiences which might have been difficult to collect with different tools. So let's switch locations and see how it works. I'm standing here with Kevin from Breda Stories, and he's going to tell us a little bit about his project. So, Kevin, why are you using locality mapping?
We are using locality mapping because it's a great tool to use to discover the stories. Our project is called Breda Stories, and we want to get the stories from the citizens of Breda. That's why we use locality mapping.
Nice. So let's have a look at his footage. So Kevin, how did it go?
It went really good. We went to elderly homes to try the locality mapping with the elderly people, and they told a lot of stories about Breda, about their favorite places in Breda, but also places they disliked, and this way we got a lot of information and a lot of input for our project.
Okay, nice. And what will you do with the information?
We will use the information to distract the values from the stories that they told us. Values are very important for our project because the city council wants to know what the values are of the city, so of the citizens, and then from these values they want to offer new projects and new events in the city.
Nice. So thank you for showing us this tool, and now we're going to have a look at a part of the story that Breda Stories collected. At Bosstraat, everything we do together. Every time a new store opens, I walk over there and welcome the new entrepreneurs to the street. That's how I know everybody in the street, Joop says. I think it is of great importance for Breda, and especially for the Bosstraat, to show solidarity. Breda is a nice city with many activities, such as, for example, a jazz festival. These festivals and events are cozy because the people of Breda understand each other. There are many bars, restaurants and pubs, meaning you can have a nice time when it comes to eating and drinking in Breda as well. As you could see, he talked about the Bosstraat in Breda based on the request to mark important places in the city. And he also mentioned some values. The values marked in red will be useful for Breda Stories, as they are collecting values and creating a concept based on those values. By collecting all the values of inhabitants of Breda, the group can create a movement that gives the city color. Inspired yet? Here you can see a step-by-step guide on how to perform locality mapping. Step 1. First, you should find out what questions you would like to ask the participants of the research and find a location where the target group is well presented, in order to make sure that you have enough participants. An example of an interesting question for locality mapping is: could you mark a place on the map where you had a bad experience, and why was it a bad experience? After defining your questions and finding a location where you want to put up the map, you should find a map that is up to date and representative for the city you want to do research upon. Also, you should buy the materials that are needed in order to mark the places on the map. Step 2. Secondly, the map should be put up at the location of your choice, and you can start to ask people your questions and to mark the places that appear in their answers. Step 3. Finally, after collecting the information, you can clearly see whether there are places in the city many people shared their experience about. However, also places that weren't mentioned that often, but that had interesting experiences or stories, will be relevant for your research. This is it. Good luck with using this tool.